So, back with another monk build. The last one uploaded was around about 9 days ago. A lot's changed since then. More gear wise and passive skills rather than like support gems and stuff like that. But I'm going to go through quite an in-depth breakdown. There's a bit of feedback from my other video, which I think people are saying to just break it down, go through why you've picked this, what this does, and slow it down a little bit. So that's what I'm going to try to do. This will come more with confidence. It's new to me, this game. New to making like YouTube videos like kind of this style. The more I make them, the better I'll get. So firstly, what we're going to go through is the general stats, okay? So we've got dexterity, intelligence. They're a little bit lower than normal, and I'll explain why. Energy shield again is 1331. It's a bit lower. Mana is 877, but that's perfectly fine. But this is the main thing that I was able to build up. So I've got 70% fire resistance, 75% lightning resistance, 75% cold resistance, and 70% chaos resistance. This helps massively. Pair this with my 20,000 evasion rating and 88% chance to evade. I'm finding myself surviving a lot more, especially when you've got chaos maps. I do want to take chaos inoculation at one point, but I need to work on getting my shield higher. But this is something that I'll have to address at a later date. I'm currently level 87, halfway through level 87. The videos that you saw at the beginning was 2 tier 16 breaches, so I can survive them. There was quite juiced up breaches as well. What we're going to do now is move on to the skills and support gems, and I'll show you what I've changed from the initial build to this one here. So quarterstaff strike, we've kept this obviously plain. Temper spell, we've got font of rage, overabundance, so obviously you can add one more to the limit, and then super critical, which obviously gives you more critical damage bonus, and therefore it gives you more chance to do more damage basically. So as you can see, the impact radius, everything's still the same, but like my cold damage is a little bit less, but my physical damage is up to 2,408, and I have 100% chance to hit within 2 meters. And then as you can see here, the crit chance is 35%, but when it does crit, it's 609% damage. So the increase in damage is quite significant. Eye Strike. What I've changed on Eye Strike is I've added Heft, Concentrated Effect, Martial Tempo, and Inspiration. The reason I've added Inspiration is because I haven't been able to find like decent gear that gives me quite a lot of mana regenerate, and I'll explain why when I go over the actual gear. But my mana is only 887, so if you've got more mana, you can remove this and add a skill that basically improves its damage. But this is the main one that we're looking at here. So I've got 44.58% chance to crit, and it gives me 486% damage. So when I do crit, the damage goes up significantly. As you can see, the third strike, its average damage per use is 30,000. Then we've got Grim Feast. Grim Feast is amazing because it recovers 150 energy shield. I have got it across to recover an extra 20 energy shield from gems. This basically is your lifesaver, as I mentioned in the original video. It puts my shield to way over 4,000. I think I say about 4,800 shield plus about 1,500 life. So, and with 70 chaos resistance, I'm a lot more tanky than I was originally. Combat Frenzy, the only thing that's changed with Combat Frenzy is I've added Clarity, so to give me more mana regeneration rate when the support skill is active. I've not tried to remove Inspiration and see how much mana disappears out of it, but as you can tell, if I do remove it, let's have a look. Yeah, my mana drops significantly. But whereas when I put it back in, my mana just basically remains a steady flow. Then I've added Cast on Freeze. Most builds that I looked at have Cast on Freeze or Cast on Shock, and then they have Comet in it, which is what I have regardless. And I've got Energy Retention, which obviously has a 30% chance to refund half the energy cost. But I've gone and added this Freezing Mark. Obviously it's limited to one target, and its mark duration is 8 seconds, and it causes 31% more freeze build-up. Okay, and then it's based off my cold damage, and then the critical hit chance be the Nova Radius. But what I've noticed since using it is pairing this with Herald of Ice and Herald of Thunder is causing them to freeze more, which is then causing them to proc Herald of Ice or Herald of Thunder more often. And I'm finding that I think it's about 4 or 5 strikes of my Ice strike, and then I'm casting Freezing Mark and Comet. So the comets are coming down pretty quick. The freezing marks happening. I'm freezing enemies. Herald of Thunder's picking more. It seems to be working really, really well. But I'm just going to do a little bit more checks on it before I 100% say I'm going to keep this in. Herald of Thunder, so exact same as what it is like the other build. Cold Infusion to give it more cold damage to proc the Herald of Thunder. Ice Bite, which gives you more cold damage. And then supporter skills has 50% more freeze build up with glaciation. And then long shot, obviously, so you can hit it off, attack them enemies off screen. Herald of Ice has got lightning infusion, again, more damage as lightning. And then you've got Herald Innovate, which is basically more damage as lightning. Execute, support skills deal more 40% more damage against hits that are on low life. So this is good because once it procs Herald of Ice, if it's on Herald, if it's the low life, basically, it'll deal the damage, which then could cause the Herald of Ice to actually kill them rather than relying on the Herald of Thunder as well. And then Cold Mastery is just a supporter skills. You could possibly swap and put like Ice Bite into here and swap them around and see what like right there. And basically see what happens, but it's entirely up to you. Wind Dancer. So Wind Dancer, I have had a blind, maim, and pin. So again, I'm finding that when I freeze them, I'm pinning them and I'm causing them to remain stunned. So it's pretty good. Like I say, it's working well. Charge Staff, I've got Charge Staff at quality of 20%, and then I've got Conduction, which gives more 100% more chance to shock. Overcharge. Again, the magnitude of shocks with its support skills. Then you've got lightning exposure, so it inflicts lightning exposure for 8 seconds, which then shocks the enemy again. And then supporter skills have a chance to not remove the charges. So what I'm finding with this is it working particularly well with this and this. So the 35% chance not to remove charges is good because when I'm pressing, in my case, it's F for Charge Strike, I'm keeping my charges, which is making me want to eventually maybe remove this and replace it with Flicker Strike. Because if I'm keeping my charges, the charges that I keep from here could be used to obviously trigger Flicker Strike. And every time I'm hitting someone with Flicker Strike, I can be getting my charges back, which means I could consistently do Flicker Strike. So I'm gonna work around it and see how it works. Hopefully it works. It might not do, but I will leave a comment on the video, let you know if it does work. We'll go into the gear and then I'll go over my passives. So my weapon has changed quite a bit. I've got an advanced slicing quarterstaff. It's a shame it's not an expert quarterstaff, but it has 133% increased physical damage, plus the 40% increased physical damage that's there. And then I've got 21 to 30 physical damage, 25 to 35 cold damage, and then I've got 2.5 chance to crit, and then 23% critical damage. And then I gain 14 life per enemy hit. So it is a very good staff. It is a shame that it's not an expert slicing staff, because obviously if it was an expert, this damage will be considerably higher up here. But it's got alright rolls, but they're all, because it's not expert, these are going to be smaller. So if you are able to get an expert one, you can get stuff like this. You can buy them on the trade website, but some of them are like 50, 60 exalted. There was one going for 1 divine. Then I have changed my gloves, so I've removed my gloves that gave me +4 to melee skills and added some more energy shields, evasion rating, give myself some more mana, some more attack speed, and some more resistances. The main thing that I wanted to do with this build was just basically increase my resistances, because it's all well and good being able to do tier 15 or tier 16 maps, or being able to unlock them, but if you can't survive in them, what's the point in having them? So the DPS might be a little bit lower, because last time, originally, my Ice Strike was at 72,000, but I found myself dying more than I am now. So the survivability is more important than the damage. Yeah, the damage is good, which is good because obviously you can run through the mobs quicker. But I came up against an enemy that had evasion and accuracy, so he dodged most of my attacks and literally hit me and just one-shot me. Which, when you got 10% XP, it's obviously just losing it, and it's everyone knows the grind of Endgame. It's a struggle. Then we move on to the belt. The belt, I don't think that's actually changed. Again, it's just resistances and life regen and stuff like that. I do want to focus on trying to get rid of like the armor, or trying to find a different belt, just a little bit better belt. Boots are the same boots that I've had a while as well. All I've done is quality them. I did have some 35% movement speed builds, but they didn't have as much resistance. Again, some of these are quite low rolls, like the maximum mana. That's not a very good roll, and obviously the rarity found. It'd be nice if I could have obviously a higher roll on the mana, but it's just one of them things. Helmet. This is a new helmet. I have 104% increased, 114% increased evasion and energy shield, and you've got maximum life, and then fire and chaos resistance, and 22.4 life regen per second. As I said, once I start to get my shield up to the point at where it's around about 4,000, that is when I'm going to start running chaos inoculation, which means I can change my armor again. Eventually, I want to change this to the Hands of Wisdom and Divine to increase the attack speed and your DPS and the output. But the trade system, as everyone knows about the trade system at the moment, it's broken. You've got people putting stuff up for 1 divine just to basically get other people to put it up for 1 divine, so they can try and buy and sell it. People have got them up for 3 divine. You message them, they're just not replying. It's becoming like a joke. Oh, there we go. Would you like to buy my jacket for 1 divine? Yes, I would. This is a perfect example. You're going to accept the trade request. So this is actually worth around about 2 divines, but roughly. But nobody was replying to it. There we go. Thank you. Goodbye. Right, where were I? So, as you can just see then, I'll probably cut that bit out of the video, but if I haven't cut out the video, I sold my old chest, and I have gone for a different chest, a totally different chest. This one is this. So I've gone for the Expert Pathfinder coat, which is currently giving me 2,136 evasion rating. Again, I could probably get a little bit better than this, but people are asking silly prices. Like someone's selling like one for like 7 or 8 divine. I don't have 7 or 8 divine. But the reduced slowing is it's all right. But the main thing that I wanted for this was a bit more evasion rating and some form of like resistance. So I've got 25 to dexterity, 17 to chaos resistance, 30 life regeneration per second, and then it's got obviously more evasion rating and 136% evasion rating. I am tempted to Val Orbit, but knowing my luck, I'll Val Orbit and remove the 136% increased evasion rating, and I've just sold my one for 1 divine of the other one, so I'd end up basically being lost. The amulet is still the same. I've still kept the same thing with a critical hit chance, intelligence, and stuff like that. I do have another amulet down here, which gives me rarity found, more to energy shield, so it gives me like an 86 to energy shield, more to evasion rating, more to lightning resistance, and I take 10% of the damage is recouped to life, and I have a 40% mana regeneration rate, which means that I could then remove inspiration off my Ice Strike. But the downside with that is this, because I have 28 intelligence on this, and I kind of need them, and this has obviously plus 11 to all resistances. Then I got 2 rings, 2 breach rings. I've got a breach ring here that's at 50% quality, which gives me 5% increased fire, 45% increased cold, 18% increased lightning, 22 to all elemental resistances, mana regen rate, 2 mana per kill, and 5% increased light radius. And then my other one over here is 45% increased cold, 11% fire, 24 to all elemental, 21 to cold, mana 11 mana per enemy killed, and then 5 to 9 physical damage to attacks. So again, these are 2 good rings. The original ring that I was using is this one, but because the breach rings are able to go to 50%, it allows me to obviously go higher on elemental resistances. So these are better rings than this. And then we'll go on to the passives. So the passive tree, I finally went and got my my 3rd ascendance. I do have the 4th one today, but which I'm then going to go back down here, or maybe build it around here into Unbound Out and see where it is, or maybe just go for these 2. It all depends. I might try and meditate and see what happens with that, but we'll have a play around as usual. So we've gone straight up again, like I did before. Obviously, make sure to get resonance, because this is your frenzy charges, endurance, and power charges, and then life recharges instead of energy shield. Why have I got that on? I don't know why I've got that on. That will be removed, and I'll probably put this into my cold damage over here. Honestly, don't know why I actually have that. I'm pretty sure I removed it. Obviously not. But this is kept the same for the damage and across here. Again, mana regeneration rate, some more damage down here. Down here, the dexterity, attack speed, as we know, 1% per 15 dexterity. So obviously with me, with 164 dexterity, it gives me quite a lot of attack speed. Then we've come down to here for the heralds, which boosts the heralds damage quite a bit. I'm tempted to take acrobatics because it lowers my evasion rate from 19,000 to 5,000, and to 64%, but I can evade all hits, so it is a lot better, but there's still that chance of you being basically destroyed. I also, if you didn't know, if you come onto, when you're on your passive tree, if you press shift, it'll show you how your stats will change if you're putting this on. So before you put a node on, you can actually check what it would do. So for instance, if I click on here, what would it do? So you can see it increased my damage per second and this up. Quarterstaff, gone through here. I originally had these two there, and then I ignored these two, but I found that my defense dropped quite a bit, and obviously more defense means more survivability. Then you got your critical hit damage and your critical hit bonus, which is down the side. And then finally we come up to max. I've finally got the maximum power charges, which increase my power charges by 2. And then we come up this side and we're going to critical hit chance and stuff like that. And then eventually I want to try and go up here around and try and get some of these. Because obviously, because these give you a huge cold damage increase, but obviously to try and get up here I need an extra 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then I need to probably be at least level like 95. So I'm probably just going to go around these nodes here. Chaos inoculation eventually. I've got some new gems as well, maximum energy shield and a few other bits. Maximum life. Still got the rage gem on, which is like gain 1 rage on melee hit. And then the final one is here, which is increased flash effect duration. And then I've got more damage with quarterstaffs. So that has been my build. A little bit longer than normal. I tried to go in a little bit more depth. I've got like 140 hours into this. I still feel like I'm fairly new to this game. There's a lot of stuff that I'm learning. It can be overwhelming at times, but just progress through. I kept dying multiple times, and I wanted to do higher tiers, but then I couldn't do the higher tiers because I was dying. But then the lower tiers wasn't giving me enough XP for me to grind, and it became a vicious circle, and it constantly changing your build. But kind of happy with this build for the time being. It might change over the next few days depending on if I get the hands. If I get the hands, then the build will change dramatically. If I don't get the hands, then I'll probably just keep it the same. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. If you've got any tips, tricks or any other builds or any supports that I can change or add into my skills or anything that's working for you, please leave a comment below and stay safe. Peace.